Hello, in this video I'm going to go over a healer build that I have created. This is called the Umbrella, and this is intended to go hand in hand with a team of werewolves. So if you're not familiar with werewolves in the current state of the game, they have a ton of buffs on them and they do a lot of damage. And so there's kind of a limited amount of sets that you can bring as support because they pretty much already have a lot of the gear sets that are traditionally used to buff trials teams. For example, the werewolf has a very easy time with major berserk as well as major courage. So the need for a Atronach from the sorcerer or even the Dragon Knight using the lead from the front class mastery to obtain major berserk is not really needed. Pretty much the very slim necessities that they need would be major slayer and then shielding and healing to keep them alive because for example uh, they have a very massive amount of damage. As you can see here, a parse I did with the traditional boss build on a werewolf. I hit 175,000 DPS on this, so definitely you want to try and keep your team of werewolves alive while giving them buffs that they can use and necessitate with. So this is a pure class Arcanist healer, and I'm calling it the Umbrella. And so just to cover these skills and everything that I'll be using, um, I'm just going to go ahead and hit the a dummy here so I can use the Battle Scrolls add-on to cover the nuts and bolts of uh, the build here. So give me 1 second here. We'll do this. So as you can see, I am a Breton Arcanist with the ritual Mundus stone. Very important to use that Mundus stone, and I'll get into that in just a second because that leads right into the class mastery. I will cover that when we get done covering everything on this screen here. But I'm a Breton Arcanist with the ritual Mundus, and I'm using the Fate Realigned class mastery as well as the Ink-Scribe Verve. And so those two things work hand in hand, the two masteries, and I'll explain that when I get to the class masteries here in a minute. Uh, Ghastly Eyeball is used for the food for maximum magicka and good magicka recovery. And then as you can see for the slottables, I have Soothing Tide, Rejuvenator, Swift Renewal, and Enlivening Overflow. The Enlivening Overflow is kind of a flex um, that gives recoveries. Werewolf has almost no trouble with sustain whatsoever because their skills cost almost nothing, and then they are constantly consuming corpses to keep their werewolf form intact. So they're just not really having that trouble with sustain either. They're just a berserker of a build. So it's really tough to kind of find things to help them. So Boundless Vitality, Refreshing Stride, that is more of a for ad pull situations. I would say you probably want to put something else like Spirit Mastery instead of Refreshing Stride for boss fights. Fortified and Celerity for the movement speed are the other two in the Fitness red tree. For the crafting green tree, I have Steed's Blessing, Master Gatherer, Warmount, and Gifted Rider. So the gear sets, I'm using the Infinite Archive Hierophant, Reawakened Hierophant from Infinite Archive set. I'll cover what the gear sets do here when we go into the skills and the class mastery section. But then I have 5 pieces of Twilight Remedy, and then I have a back bar infused Crushing Wall Frost Staff. If you've not seen other videos where I talk about that, I basically do this because I don't have a front bar arena weapon slot. I'm basically taking the Reawakened Hierophant on the front bar and then using the back bar as my arena weapon. So that's why I have that sitting there like that, and it increases my DPS greatly on a healer build because they pretty much don't do a lot of damage. So if I can increase the damage that the Wall of Elements does, then that's why I have that. Then I have 2-piece the blind monster set. This is going to give a really good damage shield every time you critically heal. Then I have 7 pieces of light gear, all divines, all magicka glyphs. My jewelry is all arcane in gear traits, and then reduced spell cost glyphs that will reduce my magicka spells. So my front bar is a precise healing staff, and then my back bar is an infused reduce. It's a weakening glyph essentially. So now I'll get into the skills on the front bar. I have Illustrious Healing, Curative Surge, Chakram of Destiny, Combat Prayer, Radiating Regeneration, and Reviving Barrier. And then on the back bar, I have Overflowing Altar, Xena's Empowering Discs, Elemental Drain, Elemental Blockade, Energy Orb, and then Glyphic of the Tides. So to go over the gear sets, the Reawakened Hierophant gives you maximum stats when you have it golded out. I don't have the jewelry golded out. I don't have chromiums right now, so the values on the 2, 3, and 4 piece are not as full as they should be. But when you have 1 Crux and you cast a Curative Rune Forms ability that's not an ultimate, so the spammable, for example, the Chakram of Destiny or the Curative Surge would work as well. Either one of those are going to proc this gear set. So if you have 1 Crux up when you cast one of those spells, you are going to provide a damage shield. If you have 2 Crux up, you're going to give everybody minor heroism. So if they are running the Shattered Paths Signet, for example, then that is going to counteractivate their minor timidity that they have inflicted on them. So that's a really good buff to have. However, really, really easy to get 3 Crux up on this build and keep it because I don't have a Crux consumer. And so pretty much I'm going to be able to keep major protection up on the group 100% of the time. And so that is one of the reasons why I chose this to make a pure class Arcanist healer. So then the blind, as you can see, will give damage shield. And actually, I'm going to change my red tree slottable there. I probably should have done this before, but we're going to replace Refreshing Stride with Bastion. And then instead of Celerity, I'm going to recommend that you keep Spirit Mastery on. In case anybody dies, you can keep those 2 things active. If we're going to give a lot of shields, you probably want to slot Bastion. That's going to increase the amount of damage shields. As you can see, it goes up to 3,365 for this damage shield. And this damage shield from Reawakening Hierophant is now 4,523. And then the spammable, the Chakram of Destiny, can start off with a base of 7,510. However, if you reapply the shield, it's going to be 30% stronger. So that's going to be a considerably amount of damage shields to apply to your group. So for example, the 7510 that you get, basically, if you reapply that, it's going to increase to 9,763 for a damage shield. And if you're in a dungeon, for example, this goes to 3 different people, so it's really easy to reapply in that amount. And this also builds a Crux also, so this also procs a lot of passives on here. The Healing Tides will go up to 12% increased healing done, and you'll generate a Crux and restore magicka. And then the shield size is increased with the Intricate Rune Forms passive as well. So to cover the gear sets completely, the other set that I'm looking at here is Twilight Remedy. Whenever somebody activates a synergy that you create, then they get a heal over time, and they also get minor force. Minor force is really easy to get for werewolves, so the minor force that you get from the blind and Twilight Remedy is not really the prime focus on this build. It's more to provide something that they don't uh, already have, and so the healing here is meant to kind of help keep them alive, as well as the damage shield. I know werewolves already have a crazy amount of healing built into them, but there really is not much left to give them. They already have minor courage, major courage, major berserk, minor berserk. I mean, they literally only have major slayer and major force really to not get. But the other healer in group is assuming to be handling the major slayer portion. But let's get into the class masteries here. Whenever you get your Crux activated here with the Fate Realigned, it's going to give you 300 weapon and spell damage for 25 seconds. And this can occur once every 15 seconds. So this is going to activate almost all the time. And why weapon damage is important is it increases the amount that you heal as well, because that is in the table for your spell damage. It makes your weapon and spell damage go up, which makes your healing spells more effective. And then the last one here, Ink-Scribe's Verve. Whenever you heal 100,000 or overheal 100,000, either way, you generate a Crux and you grant your group major force for 10 seconds. That's the same buff that is granted by Warhorn. And even if I just go ahead and attack this dummy right here and put some spells down and some heal over times and heal myself here, it is extremely easy to overheal to 100,000 and keep major force up just with myself. So if you're going to get into a trial where you're healing or overhealing 8 to 10 other people, you're going to keep major force up extremely easy. It is extremely easy to do that. So I'll go ahead and kill that dummy, and then we can look at the battle scroll add-on here just for that little 35-second window. And you can look at buffs here, and you can see, you come down here to major force. And as you can see, just with myself, I was able to keep it up 55% because I'm the only one healing myself. So if you add 8 to 10 other targets, you're going to easily keep up major force on your team really simply. So that is going to help your team get to the critical damage cap by having major force up. The other healer I would recommend going with probably a full-blown pure class warden to get minor toughness, as well as the class masteries that they have. I would probably recommend having that as the other healer in group. So let me see, what else did I not cover here? I've got the food. I would recommend for potions, recommend running the standard spell power pots. Those work really well for this, and that would be my recommendation for this. Other gear sets that you could swap in that would probably still be really effective for this would be, if you didn't want to run the Twilight Remedy set, then I would recommend, if you've got Xoryn's Masterpiece, this is really good for giving your group maximum stats at all times. This is another set that the bonus persists through death. Again, it's just really tough to figure out what the werewolf needs because they don't have the need for major courage like they do. So kind of spell power cures not really as necessary anymore. Something you could do for werewolf teams is you could have them pick the other morph of the roar spell and apply debuffs to the enemy. However, that's going to make it so they're spammable. The Nash skill is going to turn into a taunt if they're blocking. So that would be a really, got to pay attention not to do that. when you're blocking. So, and then you could run Spell Power Cure instead of them providing Major Courage to themselves. Just an idea. I don't know if that would be a great one across the board, but situationally you might try it if you're a little bit more hard-hitting stuff to give everybody their own major evasion and minor protection. But then this Reawakened Hierophant should keep up major protection, and then the class mastery should keep up major force. So that would be two buffs that you can give out for your group. Unfortunately, when you have your activated skills, it doesn't give you all three if you have all three Crux, which would be nice to have, but if you just spam, for example, in light attack and activate the shield skill, and then you cross into the consuming of the curative surge here, then you could kind of dance between getting the all three buffs on the Crux building different here, because this grants every second and then there's no cooldown. So you could get a Crux, cast the spell to give the shield, get a Crux, cast the spell to get the minor heroism, and then once you get up to the major heroism, you could use your healing beam to consume the Cruxes, and then you're back to square one of getting the Crux and casting, and getting the Crux and casting, and getting the Crux and casting, and then you consume it, and then you've got your buff again. So that could be something you could work in if you're trying to keep the all three of those buffs active. But otherwise, if you just stay capped off at the 3 Crux system there, it's going to be really easy to keep the major protection up on there. And then the overhealing should be really simple, especially if you're going to use the healing beam. That really ramps up and heals a lot. As you can see, if you just sit here and heal like this, it does a ton of healing just with one cast. I can just about just keep up major force just with that alone, just on myself. It's a really strong spell. The only problem with this is it doesn't have a very wide width on here, so just keep that in mind. But as you can see, it can go about 4,400 healing a second. As you can see on the left-hand side of the screen there, it's doing a lot of healing per second. So that's a really strong spell to use if you're trying to keep that stuff up. But give it a try, see what you think. If you thought this video was interesting or helpful, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my YouTube channel. I have a very large catalog of videos on my YouTube channel, and I have them all organized by created playlists. If you go to my YouTube channel and go to the playlist tab, you'll be able to see a very large catalog there that is organized by subject. Check them out and see if there's anything else there that you're interested in. Thank you very much again for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye.